Dear colleagues, social workers from all over the world who are following this international social conference hosted at the University of Rwanda, I'm very pleased to, on behalf of my team, to present you some of the findings from the desktop research done on the synthesizing narratives of lived experiences by street children in Kigali city during the period of COVID-19. It's an idea that came when we were thinking about how it was hard for people to live in the hardship of COVID-19, more especially during the lockdowns, and with wondering how the street children were living that time. So by starting with the contextual background, it's that street children spend most of their time in street, on the streets, and this situation makes them victims of deprivation of their rights, and those rights include right to education, hygiene, nutrition, safety, and more others. And this were more worse during the COVID-19, where the World Health Organization and also other health agencies put in place measures for containing COVID-19 contamination. And this has been, of course, not an easy thing for the children who already have been living in hard conditions. And the aim of the study was just to provide an overview of the literature on living conditions of street children during COVID-19 in Kigali, and with an objective to synthesize knowledge and also to draw conclusions and identify gaps in the literature. The methods that have been used to reach our aim was a search engine where we used the key words from the title of the study. We also visited the website of public institutions, UN agencies, and also non-governmental organizations which work on this phenomenon of street children. We also visited some newsletters which reported on this case, and we also referred to our social networks, more especially to people who work in this field. From all those methods that have been used, we came up with these following findings. In the search engines we tried to do, we did not come across any single scientific article that has been peer-reviewed and published, but we came across a number of policy documents and reports, both public UN agencies and NGOs, that were talking about the situation of the street children that time. A most important document that we came across was a report which showed that around 3,096 former street children were reunified with their families within 1 year, from May 2020 up to May 2021. But among those who were brought back to their families or to their friends, 7.3% of them came back to the streets. And it is not yet known what are the pushing factors which really make them to come back to the street. Another important document is the Rwandan Social Protection Strategic Plan of 7 years, which shows how the social protection of all the people vulnerable, including street children, have to rely on both international and national and regional human rights instruments, but also the national programs. Another finding is that it was clear that the plan or the strategies to prevent COVID-19 contamination were in place in general, but what we saw as abnormal is how those strategies or measures were communicated to children on the street, because many of the tools that were used were either radio, television, or print document, which were not very easy to be reached by the children on the street or in the street. Most of the technological tools which have been used either in organizing meetings on Zoom or Google Teams, or were not really very conducive for children who were living on the streets. But depending on the situation, this is how, of course, things had to be done. And it was realized that 20% of the former street children in one of the rehabilitation centers were vaccinated, as all other Rwandans. And here we can wonder, this happened because the children were already in the rehabilitation center. And what happened to those who were not in the rehabilitation center? How could they be reached? This is still a problem. That's why we came to a conclusion that there is a need, of course, in investing in research on this phenomenon, more especially for street children, of their experiences during the COVID-19. For example, when they were like lockdowns, how did they manage? Were they staying in their respective sites? How did it? So it is not yet known of what has been done for them. That's why we are suggesting that there should be an independent study to look into that and come up maybe with suggestions. I think this is all that I had to present today. And if you have any feedback, your questions and compliments are always welcome. And I thank you so much.